Jeff Bezos built Amazon on a simple rule. No team should be larger than what 2 pizzas can feed. Roughly 6 to 8 people maximum. The logic was elegant. Smaller teams move faster, communicate better, and avoid the bureaucratic sludge that kills innovation. But here's the problem. That rule worked in 1999. In 2026, it's a scalability killer. The hidden cost isn't what happens inside those small teams. It's what happens between them. Remote-first companies running 52 pizza teams aren't eliminating coordination waste. They're multiplying it. You end up with isolated silos, redundant work, and burned-out employees wearing 10 hats because lean became the excuse for understaffing. The real question isn't how big your team should be. It's whether you're optimizing for the right metric in the first place. Bezos introduced the 2 pizza rule to solve a specific problem: communication overhead. The more people you add to a team, the more connections you create. A team of 5 has 10 possible communication paths. A team of 50 has over 1,000. That's exponential complexity, and it slows everything down. So the solution was obvious. Keep teams small, minimize the paths, move fast. But that logic assumes all your coordination happens inside the team. And in 2026, that assumption is dead. Modern companies don't operate in isolated units. You have 52 pizza teams, but those teams still need to align on priorities, share resources, and integrate their work. The communication overhead doesn't disappear. It just moves to a different layer, the inter-team layer. And that's where the chaos lives. You've got product teams that don't talk to engineering teams that don't sync with operations, marketing running campaigns that sales didn't know about. Every handoff is a negotiation. Every integration is a surprise. The coordination tax you avoided inside the team just became a massive toll at the company level. Now add remote work into the equation. Distributed teams amplify the silo problem exponentially. When everyone's in the same office, you can walk over to another team's desk and figure things out. In a remote-first world, that casual alignment disappears. Instead, you get Slack threads that go nowhere, meetings that should have been emails, and misaligned priorities because nobody has the full picture. The real kicker? Small teams start duplicating work because they don't know what the other teams are doing. You end up with 3 different groups building 3 different versions of the same internal tool. One team creates a customer data dashboard. Another team builds a reporting system. A third team launches an analytics platform. All 3 do roughly the same thing, but none of them talk to each other because they're autonomous. This is the efficiency paradox. Being lean at the team level creates bloat at the company level. You hire more people to solve problems that wouldn't exist if your teams were actually coordinated. You burn budget on redundant projects. You slow down shipping because integration is a nightmare. The metric everyone obsesses over, team size, is the wrong one. What you should be measuring is cross-functional alignment time. How long does it take for a decision in one team to propagate across the organization? How many meetings does it take to get 3 teams on the same page? How much rework happens because teams didn't sync early enough? If your alignment time is measured in weeks, your 2 pizza teams aren't making you faster. They're making you fragile. You've optimized for local efficiency at the expense of global coherence. And that's not a scalability strategy. That's a recipe for organizational debt that compounds every quarter. The coordination problem is just the surface. The deeper issue is what happens to your company's collective intelligence. Tribal knowledge is the critical insight that only exists in people's heads. It's the shortcut your senior engineer discovered after debugging the same issue 3 times. It's the pricing strategy your top sales rep uses to close enterprise deals. It's the workflow hack that cuts onboarding time in half. In a well-structured organization, that knowledge gets documented, shared, and scaled. In a company built on 2 pizza teams, it stays locked inside those teams. And that's a compounding loss. Small, autonomous teams have no incentive to share their wins. They're optimized for independence, not collaboration. So when one team figures out a breakthrough, the other 49 teams never hear about it. They keep reinventing the wheel, solving problems that were already solved, burning time on challenges that shouldn't exist. This isn't just inefficiency. It's organizational amnesia. Every time someone leaves, their tribal knowledge walks out the door. And because your teams are small, losing one person means losing a disproportionate amount of institutional memory. You're constantly rebuilding knowledge instead of building on top of it. Now layer in the burnout reality. Small teams mean everyone wears 10 hats. Your product manager is also doing customer support. Your engineer is also writing documentation. Your designer is also running user research. In 2004, that was called being scrappy. In 2026, that's called unsustainable. The problem isn't the workload, it's the lack of depth. When you're stretched across 10 responsibilities, you never get good at any of them. You're always in reactive mode, firefighting instead of strategizing. And your high performers, the ones who could actually move the business forward, leave because they're tired of being generalists when they signed up to be experts. The retention cost is brutal. You lose your best people because they're burned out. You hire replacements who take 6 months to ramp up. And because your tribal knowledge isn't documented, those new hires start from zero. The cycle repeats, and your company never builds momentum. The alternative isn't going back to massive bureaucratic teams. It's rethinking how you structure ownership and resources. Instead of 50 isolated two-pizza teams, you build functional pillars with clear accountability but shared infrastructure. Create centers of excellence that support multiple teams without bloating headcount. A centralized data team that builds tools everyone can use. A documentation hub that captures tribal knowledge in real time. A talent development function that trains people instead of expecting them to figure it out alone. This isn't about adding layers. It's about creating leverage. When you invest in shared resources, you stop duplicating effort. When you prioritize knowledge sharing, you compound learning instead of resetting it every quarter. When you give people the space to go deep instead of wide, they stay longer and deliver more. The two-pizza rule optimized for speed in a specific moment. But speed without alignment is just chaos. And chaos doesn't scale. The two-pizza rule optimizes for the wrong metric in modern business. Team size doesn't determine your scalability. Cross-functional alignment and knowledge sharing do. If you want sustainable growth, stop worrying about how many people fit in a room and start measuring how fast insights move across your organization. If this strategic breakdown changed how you think about team structure, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into what actually works.